Hello, I am back. You know, how I always, I disappear for like a week and then I come back and do like 5 broadcasts in a day. It's that deal. So, yeah, I was supposed to go to sleep, but I got like triggered. And I I use the term triggered sort of tongue in cheek, but I am actually triggered. Um So rather than focusing on the source of triggering, which I'll probably forget in like a week, if I like ever listen to this again, I'll be like, I have no idea what she's talking about. Don't know what triggered her. So I thought, okay, I'm going to. Well, when I get triggered, one nice thing about being triggered is that I get a lot of energy. So even though it's bedtime, I could probably like lift a car right now because I have so much like adrenaline and anxiety right now. So that's fun. So I was taking a shower and I was listening to or sort of watching this podcast that's on YouTube and other platforms called Fire Chakotay, which is from Mike Diamond with Miss Matinga and Miss Booby. And I've been watching Diamond for years. He has a series called Homework with a Q, that I love, and that's back during quarantine. But anyway, it's funny because the Fire Chakotay, I've never heard of a Chakotay in my life. Apparently, that's a Star Trek Voyager thing. It's about Star Trek Voyager. I've actually got it playing in the background. I hope it's not too audible. Um, but I never watched the show in my life, but I just like the podcast because it's just nice to watch people talk about something they're interested in, entertaining people talk about something they're interested in, and unpacking all sorts of things and nuances in the story that more than meets the eye. So anyway, and it just got me thinking about all the podcasts and broadcasts and reviews and stuff like that. And it's like, man, I'd really like to do that kind of thing. The thing is, I actually hate podcasts. I have this like weird aversion to podcasts. So like all these like hipstery people are always, like my friends are like, oh, I love this podcast and you should listen to this podcast and that podcast. And I'm like, I'd rather not. You see, I work in radio and radio and podcasting, they're all, working hand in hand now, synergy, blah, blah, blah. People probably think I don't like podcasts because I have some, because I'm in radio and like I hate, I must hate this, upstart podcasting thing. No, that's not the reason. The reason why I don't like podcasts is because, well, the reason why I love radio is because at least it used to be live. And when you were listening to it, you were listening to a live person. And even if they were playing music or a commercial at the time, you knew there was a person there on the other side. It felt like a connection in some way. Why is my dog scratching me? What on earth? Oh, he got stickers on his tail. That's why stickers keep appearing everywhere. I like walked him today and suddenly I had stickers in my hair and I didn't understand why. Oh, they're coming from him and he's like scratching me up right now. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so granted, here's a secret. A lot of radio is not live right now, and not because of the pandemic. It was a trend that started before, people couldn't come to the studio. But um, yeah, a lot of radio is pre-recorded. In fact, what I do on the radio, the vast majority is pre-recorded now, which is terribly unfortunate. And, I could go into a whole spiel about deregulation and stuff. Basically, corporate radio has screwed up radio. But what I did like about radio was that it was live and it felt like a connection. You felt connected to the person who was speaking, or producing or engineering or whatever. There were people, live people producing the content. And you know, it was happening right now. It had the immediacy that, say Twitter has. And there was a connection between you and the person broadcasting, and also you felt sort of a connection with the other people who were listening because, come on, jingly dog. And hi, baby, what's up? What you looking at me for? Um, there was sort of, in a way you were sort of relating to the other listeners as well because the person was talking to all of us, all of you, it was sort of a group thing, even though you were all separate. We were all sort of together listening. With podcasts though, it's not live. Who knows when it was recorded? And, it was some person sitting in a room somewhere at some other time with no really any discernible connection to you listening to it. They're not, I mean, I guess they're talking to you, but they're not talking to you now. They were talking to you whenever they recorded it. And I don't know, just listening. And it's funny because, I watch movies and it's not a live theater performance, but for some reason, taking that sort of radio experience that establishes a connection between you and others, but taking experience and removing the connection makes me so uncomfortable. And it's not just, oh, I don't really like it. I prefer live. It's like there's this, like, I get a physical feeling like a malaise from listening to podcasts. I feel stifled and isolated and like confined and uncomfortable, and like I feel like the air gets like stuffy. Like I don't know, I get so weird about podcasts. Like I have a physical bad reaction to it because it like flies in the face of what I love about broadcasting. So, yeah, that's the main reason why I don't like podcasts. And people think, "Oh, you must want to do a podcast. You must love podcasts." And I'm like, no, God, no. But I mean, I guess technically that's probably something I would eventually do. I don't know how I would eliminate that feeling of isolation. I mean, I guess no one else feels it except for me, but like, I don't know. It seems like a necessary evil, like something I'll probably have to go into. But yeah, so at work, we have to do these commercials for like other people podcasts because the company wants to promote podcasts because now they're into podcasts now, and so you have to read these commercials for oh listen to Joe and Schmo talk about their lives, blah, 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 and it sounds so awful. I mean, some of the commercials sound interesting, the content sounds interesting. There's a podcast about the women being murdered on the Mexico-US border, that kind of stuff. At least it's about something. I mean, the podcasts about crimes and stuff. I mean, girl, I guess. I mean, not really my thing. That's fine. Other people like crimes. Bad things happening to other people, not you. I guess that's an entertaining thing. Not really my thing, but whatevs. It was funny because I listened to, I mean, this is way back in the day. So I have this obsession with the TV show Dark Shadows. Yes, it was made into an awful movie with Johnny Depp and whatever. We don't talk about that. But like way back in the day when podcasting first started, this must have been like, I don't know, could have been like 10 years ago, maybe more. I don't even remember. And so I managed to download something on like iTunes, and it was this man like rambling. His audio actually wasn't bad considering the times and his, amateurishness. But I mean, all he was, it was just this like old fool talking about, he could like barely actually talk about Dark Shadows. All he did was talk about how he found each actress very attractive, and he would go through each of them and say, "Oh, Nancy Barrett, very attractive. Oh, Laura Parker, very pretty, attractive one." Like he just went through like, and he kept like naming them over and over. But it was funny because he kept. And if you haven't watched the show or you're not a fan, you have no idea who I'm talking about. But he would bring up each actress over and over and couldn't even really get to the point of his podcast. And then he would bring up Grayson Hall, who's an actress who plays Dr. Julia Hoffman on the show, who's kind of, how do I say it? She comes off a little more mannish than the other people. Of course, the professional doctor woman, can't be feminine by our general societal standards, but whatever. So he had to mention every time how he didn't consider the woman who plays Dr. Hoffman to be attractive, and never actually got to the point of the show. So that was that might be the only podcast I've actually listened to. And it was absolutely awful. And it was so funny. It's so funny when men like want to tell you who they find attractive and don't find attractive, because usually 9 times out of 10 they're like bridge trolls, and you're like, I care who you think is attractive, because anyway, so it was such a it turned me off to podcasting. That one time was enough. But seriously, I mean, I would I would love to do at least a review or something, or I guess it would be a podcast, I don't know, of Dark Shadows, or man, there's so much like random crap I like that probably nobody would listen to them or watch them, but I'd be glad that I did something about it and put it out there. Like with this Fire Chakotay show. I mean, I have no idea what they're talking about. Although they do a good job of explaining the episode and what's happening, and then they break it down and stuff. So you don't even really have to watch it or be a fan to be interested in it. So, maybe I could introduce people into the things that I like, even if they don't have prior interest or exposure to it. So I don't know. I mean, I could do, yeah, I'd like Dark Shadows. I like soap operas. Girl, don't get me started on the soap operas. I have so much to say about the soaps. I haven't watched, you think sitting at home all day, I'd be watching them like crazy right now, but I totally don't. I don't watch any TV right now. Um, I love James Bond. Uh, Various random sci-fi movies, dystopian, my favorite. Ooh, child, I've been getting into The Handmaid's Tale, and I don't usually do new, and I don't know if you'd call that sci-fi necessarily. It's definitely dystopian, but I don't normally like anything after 1980. But I've been watching The Handmaid's Tale, and like everyone else with a functioning brainstem, I've got all sorts of feelings about that. And it's making me hate people more, which probably isn't healthy. My misanthropy has already, reached alarming levels. So, ooh, child. But I don't know, and I don't know if I would do like a regular podcast. I feel like with a podcast, just people sitting there and talking. Oh wait, no, there was another podcast I used to listen to called For the Culture with Justin J and Adrian Expression. And I mean, I liked it because I liked them. I liked listening to them. And it was basically, it sounded, sometimes the episodes seemed like they would start almost in the middle of a conversation, and you would just like suddenly tune in to them having a discussion amongst themselves. And that was fine. And it was quiet though. So it was almost like you were eavesdropping. The audio was always low. So I'm always like leaning towards the computer, like, what did they say? Who are they talking about? But yeah, that was another one I liked, but it was kind of just them sitting there. I mean, after a while they started introducing other elements, audio elements into it. And I feel like as like a radio person, I would kind of have to play stuff, but that's the thing, like, I don't have the capabilities right now to, like, edit stuff, not really, and then there's copyright issues you have to take into account, so I kind of don't just wanna be sitting there in dead silence, because, man, that really plays up that isolation. I just get shuddery thinking about it. I need something that would be engaging and make you, I don't know, I would need music or something to liven it up so it doesn't feel like you're just listening to someone in a closet talking to themselves. in some far off distant time and place, totally detached from yourself. Little puppy. Anyway, yeah, so I'm just talking a lot because I am triggered and I feel like just expressing myself right now. And then, I'll keep expressing myself and then not say anything for like a week. And then the verbal diarrhea will explode all over again in like a week. I don't know. Meh, meh. I'm just debating whether I should start a separate video. I don't know. Believe it or not, people actually like to hear me ramble. I used to be on a different social networking platform, broadcasting platform, except I used to show my face. And people, basically, I would broadcast myself at work. I would do like half of my morning shift on the broadcasting platform every morning, and it was weird how much people actually liked watching that. And people actually found it very relaxing. There was this one guy who was a big fan, and his brother died, and he had said, and it was like the greatest compliment, I think one of the greatest compliments I've ever received. He said he would love falling asleep to me. Now, on the surface, that sounds like an insult, but it's really not, because I do the same thing. I fall asleep to people on YouTube or whatever. Um, that is that's like the highest compliment for me. If I can like fall asleep and relax listening to you, I must love you, and I love you. I love your voice, and I like trust you, and you relax me, and give me emotional peace to the point where I can drift off to sleep. And so I loved that. I love that he would tune in to me to fall asleep. And also, when you've been through such a traumatizing incident as he had been through, losing your brother, and I'm assuming his brother was young like he was. I mean, that's when you can't sleep at all a lot of the time. And so I was able to relax him enough to fall asleep during that shit. That's I was blessed. Hashtag blessed. So, anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a separate video on Handmaid's Tale. That's going to be not so much a review, but is a spewing and maybe some rants and some like man hating and etc. etc. I'll be back.